Hello everybody, this is Mike with Soundstage EDU, and I need to talk to you today. Currently I am on the road. I'm in Atlanta right now, producing an event for a group of educational law attorneys and administrators for schools. And I heard a lot of things that were adjacent to what we talk about here, and they're 501c3s also. So they have a lot of the same governance issues that we see. But I felt I needed to stop from, just from what I've learned at this conference and what I've seen happening inside of these parent groups on Facebook and just a lot of this discussions going on. And this has been building for a while. And it has continued to build. And now it's loud. I'm seeing threads about fees, threads about fairness, threads about, is this legal? Threads about someone told me this, or threads about, hey, I'm seeing this and I'm not sure if it's right. Can someone help? And hats off to you guys. A lot of you jumped in to try and help. But I'm seeing hundreds and hundreds of comments in these threads from people trying to help. But here's what concerns me. A lot of what I'm seeing is it's wrong or half right, or even missing the part that actually matters in the discussion. And I understand why that happens. These are emotional threads, and a lot of times we jump to conclusions. We're not looking at the whole picture. We're not reading the room. And here's the thing. This one group in particular has over 36,000 people in it. And you get an emotionally charged thread going, and you get maybe 100, 150 comments with about 30 or 40 people. So a fraction of the percentage of the group responding and engaging in these threads. That tells me one thing. There is a large silent majority that are just reading. This is kind of who I want to speak to right now. Because some of you in that silent majority are reading these threads and you're thinking, oh, wait, are we doing this wrong? Some of you are on boards thinking, oh no, we've been doing this for years. And some of you are just frustrated because you're paying, someone else isn't, and nothing feels fair. So tonight, I'm going to try and clear some of this up with you guys. And not with opinions. And not with someone said in a group, or I heard this someplace one time. We're going to talk about what actually matters. And then I'm going to give you, hopefully, some real steps to start fixing it and pushing us into the right direction. So I want to reinforce here, this is not about fees. It's not about dues. It's not about fair share. This is about structure and what happens when we don't have it. And many of you have heard some of my other stories where I talk about exactly that. I give you stories that have been shared with me of what happens when structure is not in place. Or maybe it is and it's not being followed. For whatever reason. And if you haven't yet already, make sure you click follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening, because that really helps this message get out there. That helps us grow. And we're at a point now where we need a lot of people to hear this information, not because I'm special, not because I have all the answers, but because I have come to learn that I'm one of the few people out there that will confront these issues and talk about them with clarity for you guys. I don't do this for my own notoriety. I do this to help you guys protect these programs, because that's why we're there. That's why you came along. Your kid found something that they loved and you wanted to plug into that. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I don't want to lose sight of that. Now, like I said, I'm on a job site. I'm in another state. I'm away from home. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning, Eastern Standard Time. I'm tired. But I needed to sit down and at least just start this process. I don't know how far we're going to get. But let's start right here. The biggest problem that I'm seeing right now is this. People are trying to solve governance issues in comment sections. You got people saying this is illegal. People saying we've always done it this way. And people quoting software platforms like they're the IRS. And none of that is how this works. So here's the truth. And I saw this, I saw someone reflect this back to me in a reply that I made. And it gives me hope to know to realize that people are listening. That this can be learned and that this can be understood. And that there's a small fraction of us that are wanting to head in the right direction with us. But a 501c3 does not care what you call it. You can call it fees, you can call it dues, you can call it fair share. It doesn't matter what it's called. The only thing that the compliance bodies care about are the outcomes. Are you creating barriers to participation? Are you creating individual financial benefit for specific individuals in your program? Are you creating any kind of preferential treatment? That's the game. And most people in these threads are arguing about the wrong thing. So let's make this real. Here's where I see boosters get into trouble over and over again. And again, these aren't theories. These aren't just random anecdotes that I've picked up. These are things that people have come to me and asked. These are discussions that I have had. These are compliance issues that went sometimes above my head, and I sought the counsel from the counsel that I have on my side of this. And I need to make that clear. I am not shooting off my hip here. I research these things. I study them deeply. Why? Because I have a board that I'm a president of. And I have involvement with dozens of boards across the country. It is in my best interest to steer these people in the right direction. This isn't some kind of grab for consultation fees, although those are nice. But I want to emphasize that this is not my full-time job. This is not what I do to support my family. This is what I do to support the art form, to support the structure that helped raise me up. And it's the same kind of thing that's going to help turn your children into the productive, functioning adults that we can all be proud of. But what we're seeing here are things that can derail some of these programs. And maybe not the actual program, but it'll derail the support arm of the program. Boosters. That's what you are. You boost a program. And when that support mechanism is not there, these programs, the ones that contain your students, the ones that give them their art form, the ones that give them, as someone told me in a comment on a video that I made, that gives them a home. When they don't have their support organizations behind them that are clinging to their fiduciary duty, those programs will start to falter. So here's where I see these boosters getting in trouble. You've got systems where people are required to pay, but you say it's optional. Kids are tracked individually for fundraising, board members quietly get relief or unwritten perks. And no one actually knows what the bylaws say. Now, like I said, I've had people come to me with these types of questions or concerns. And then I'm seeing them repeated and reiterated in these comment threads en masse. So it's not just a handful of people that come to me and say, hey, Mike, we've got this problem. Can you help me walk through it? I'm seeing these people come into these threads and saying, not that we have this problem. They're saying, this is what we're doing and it's okay. And then one day, and that's the catalyst of these things, is one day someone comes along and asks a question. And the whole thing starts to wobble. And it's not because somebody did something wrong, but because no one ever stopped to ask, wait, how is this actually structured? So let me slow this down for a second, because I know who I'm talking to right now. I'm talking to the parent sitting at their kitchen table at 10:30 at night, scrolling through posts, trying to figure out if their kid's program is okay. I'm talking to the board member who just stepped into a role. And there's going to be a whole lot of you coming up real soon here because the fiscal year is about to end. And you inherited a system that you didn't build. And by default, likely don't understand. I'm talking to the treasurer who is quietly hoping that no one asks too many questions because they don't have all the answers. And I need you to hear me out. You are not bad people. There's a lot of times when I start these conversations that people come at me and say, you're ruining it for us that are working so hard by calling us bad. I am not saying you're bad people. I'm saying that you're just operating in a system that was never clearly built, never clearly explained, and quite possibly never clearly vetted for what it needs to do. And you're trying to hold it all together. And most of the time, you're trying to do that all by yourself, with no governance training, no real understanding of how a nonprofit board is supposed to work, with no clear definitions between the board and the director, no clear definition of what the director is even supposed to represent inside of your board, which is something that I'm going to start talking about too, because I'm getting some documentation from one of the attorneys here that is a governance law expert. And I asked him, in this context, can you explain to me what the director should be? Should they be ex officio? Should they be non-voting? What is an executive director? And he lit up. He had documents for that. And he's like, I'm going to give them to you at the end of this conference, and you need to read through them, and it will answer your questions. And I say that again to reiterate, I'm not guessing here. I seek the answers because the answers need to be made clear to you guys. So what do we need to do here? Let's stop spinning. Let's stop spiraling. Let's just get you guys moving. The first step here is stop asking Facebook for final answers. Use it for perspective, not decisions. I can't reiterate that enough. Yes, come to Facebook and ask questions, but let's not go responding to these with absolutes, because let's be honest, we simply do not know. In most cases, and this is evidenced by the responses I'm seeing in these threads, we don't know as a whole. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of misunderstanding. There's a lot of reliance on this is the way we've always done it, as opposed to how should this actually be done? Because there is a way. I run into corporate boards all the time. And I'll be honest with you, they're not without drama. They're not without questions. They have governance oversight. They have governance consultants, people like me, in their pocket all the time answering questions, clarifying policy, deflating misinterpretations of law. So, again, yes, you can come to Facebook and ask your questions, but don't look for final answers there. Just look for perspective, look for a direction. And when it starts to spiral, get out of the conversation. The next place you need to go to is get your hands on your bylaws. That's the first question I ask every new client that I get. Where are your bylaws? Send me your bylaws. Before I even get them fully involved in the intake process with me, I ask them to send me their bylaws. And it's a temperature check for me. One, yes, I need to see them. But two, and you might find this hard to believe because there's a lot of you listening here that, like I said it before, I'm preaching to the choir. There's a lot of you listening here that have those bylaws, know where they're at, know what they say. But there are a lot of times, I would say, I don't want to give you a statistic because you know what they say about statistics. But I can say with fairly good confidence that at least 90%, if not more, of the people that I bring into my intake process don't even know where their bylaws are. They've never seen them. Some of them have never even heard of them. Many say, well, those were done like 20 years ago and they haven't been updated since. So get your hands on your bylaws. The actual document, not what someone thinks they say. But get your hands on your bylaws so you can know exactly what they say. And since the main theme of what I've been seeing lately centers around money, because let's be real, money is the most emotional thing that's going on here. You want to look at how the money flows. Not what it's called, but what actually happens with it. And this should be outlined in your bylaws and in your financial policies. And if it's not, then we have something that you and I need to talk about. Next step is you want to have a real conversation, not an accusation, not a public post, but a conversation that's grounded in facts. And if you can't do that confidently, that's your signal. Because here's the reality. Some of you are in situations that need to be fixed. Not would be nice to fix, but need to be fixed. Not debated, not guessed at, but actually measurably fixed. And you're not going to solve that by scrolling through one more thread or starting another powder keg in one of these groups. Now, there's one group that I am most vocal in, but I'm here to tell you, I see these in all the groups that I'm in. And I know that I'm not in all of them. There are plenty more out there. I'm sure there are some even bigger than the ones that I'm part of. This is a pattern that I'm seeing in all of them, which is why I have built what I've built and continuing to refine it. So I know this was kind of short because, like I said, I'm kind of tired. I'm trying to keep my thoughts straight. But if even in this brief little episode, you've heard something that's hitting a little too close to home, or maybe you've seen some of those threads and those are hitting close to home for you too. And it's put you in a position where you started to say or think, we might need to take a look at this. I need you to stop waiting. Go to the site, soundstageedu.com. Scroll down a little bit, you'll see a button underneath a headline that says, I need human help right now. Click the button that says intake and triage form. Fill it out in whole. Start the process. That's the first step. And it asks you a lot of questions, but it's by design. Because I need you to answer the questions. I need you to see the questions. I need you to see your answers on that form. I need you to see the whole picture. Because I'm going to need the whole picture in order to step in here and give you the assistance that you need. But you don't have to have the answers or the fixes. You have to have the answers to the questions I ask, yes. You just have to start. It's the whole point of this. It's the whole point of why I went back downstairs from my room and got my computer off of the production table and brought it back up here in order to record this for you guys. And if anything that we have been talking about here, if anything I have said in one of the posts, either under the Soundstage EDU page or under my name, Mike DeJohn, if any of that's helped you, follow this show. Follow the socials. Plug in. Because this is what we do here. We take the chaos that you guys have and we bring clarity to it. And if you're still unsure, just share this with your board. Share this with your director. Share this with that parent who keeps sending you screenshots. I got a lot of screenshots today about things that were being said. A lot of you guys out there already engage with me, and I really appreciate that. It lets me know that the work that's being done here is important and meaningful. But share the show. Follow the show. Follow the socials. Because the more people that actually understand how this works, the fewer of these situations we're going to see. And that's the goal here. There's always going to be situations where someone like myself and like my company, Soundstage EDU, are going to need to plug in and help people. That's never going to go away. But I feel like we're at a critical point right now with a lot of these. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm more involved in the groups now. Because I'm intentionally growing this to help more people. And maybe that just makes it seem like it's a lot worse than what it actually is. But the thing is, I'm seeing these problems at a microscopic level. I'm seeing this at a program by program basis. And inside of those programs are real people, real kids, real directors, real people trying to love their art form. And we got people making decisions that are compromising that. And it's not because they're bad people. It's really not. But oftentimes it's because people are just looking for solutions to a problem that they may have. And unfortunately, they might be picking a solution that's not compliant. But even though this whole thing started with fees and fairness, I need you to understand that this was never about fees. This was never about fair share. This was never about dues or whatever you're deciding to call it. Suggested donation, that's one I've seen. But this is about structure within the system. And that structure is 100% fixable. So if you're trying to figure out booster finances from a Facebook thread, I hate to say it, but you're already in trouble. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're trying to solve something complex in the wrong place. Let me show you what actually matters and how to fix it. Don't even take the posts that I put out there or the replies to comments that I put out there as gospel truth. Because I'm speaking to a snapshot of the moment. I'm speaking to what I see in that moment. And what we need to do, what you and I need to do, is sit down, have a talk, go over your intake form, and plan your next steps. Is it a free service? No. It shouldn't be. But filling out the intake form is. Starting the process is. We'll address the rest of that later. Time is important. Time is valuable. The knowledge that I have collected over the years is valuable. But it's also for you guys. So let's do what we need to do. Reach out to me. Go to the website, soundstageedu.com. Fill out the intake and triage form. Follow the show, follow the socials. Join the website. That's free. There's resources on there. I was preparing to do some work on some of the resources that I'd started on there, but we got a little sidetracked today. And I had to stop. I had to stop because this needs to be addressed. It's that important. It's not just an opportunity for me. It's an opportunity for you guys to right the ship and eliminate some of the chaos that's, quite honestly, probably affecting you guys. Because I can see it, I can feel it in the words in those comments and in those posts. There's a lot of stress out here. There's a lot of anxiety. And you know what really concerns me? Is there's a lot of people out there that are saying nothing, that are sitting in this same exact spot as the people who are being loud. Take the first step. Let Soundstage EDU come alongside you and help you navigate this. Because once you do, you'll be happy that you did. Our whole mission is to bring clarity to the things you guys are confused about. This has been Mike with Soundstage EDU. We'll talk to you guys soon. As soon as this trip is over, I promise. But until then, be good to each other. Be good to your kids, be good to your directors, be good to your staff. Be good to the booster organization that's down the street. Let's raise the bar together.